Hello, my name is Jade Hwang. I'm a foreign consultant at Nusantara DFDL Partnership. I specialize in cross-border M&A, corporate restructuring and joint venture. My area of focus is mostly on fintech, financial institution, energy, and also representing PVC on their investment across ASEAN region. China outbound investment these days actually are shaped by geopolitical risks. We have seen a lot of Chinese companies pivoting to emerging markets such as ASEAN, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. At the same time, it's also a global push by the Chinese government due to the Belt and Road Initiative. At the same time, we have also seen very advanced industrial and technology manufacturing and development coming out from China. And this is the sector that China believes that emerging market can greatly benefit from such development. At the same time, it's also due to the constraint from their domestic market. So in fact, there's a saying in China where it says, 不出海就出局, which basically means that if you don't do outbound investment, you are out of the game. The first sector, based from my experience, I would say is the consumer goods and product. This is due to the factor of a competitive domestic market, and there's a push for global expansion from the Chinese company. Second is the infrastructure sector. As we all know, China these days, they have a very advanced industry and technology development. Third, the data center. We have seen an increase of investment into data center within the ASEAN region. This is due to the fact that, as more and more Chinese technology companies are coming out of China, there is a need, for them to localize their data. This also stems from the fact of data securities and national security that China has strictly imposed on other countries, and this has also been adopted by a few countries within the region. It's only one plain reason: population. As of 2025, ASEAN actually has about 800 million population, and Indonesia itself comprises of 280 million. So for China, this is very attractive because if you look at the consumer spending and also investment, this is the region to be at the moment. For example, Indonesia, apart from market size, there's also a growing young middle class, where they are driving the consumer spending and investment. The government itself are also very receptive towards Chinese investment. They have been actively courting China investors for the past few years. This is actually backed up by the statistic released by Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board, where China has been on the top 3 investor lists for the past 5 years. Due to China government very tedious ODI approval, ODI stands for Overseas Direct Investment, Chinese companies tend to actually invest through their offshore entity. So what we have been seeing is, normally China companies, they will set up a subsidiary in Cayman or any offshore entity, and they will actually use that vehicle to invest in the region. So the typical structure that we have seen this day is, this offshore entity will actually set up another regional hub in Singapore, and this Singapore company, acting as an operating holdco, will then invest into various countries within the ASEAN region. And at the same time, apart from M&A, we have also seen the Chinese company actually favor the JV approach. When we are talking about JV, it's mostly JV with local partners. The obvious reason is because they would like to leverage on the local JV partners' expertise, knowledge, connection, and also local insight. In addition, there are also other ways, for example, greenfield investment, where they actually come in directly to invest. This actually has been made easier for the past few years due to the Indonesia Positive Investment List, where a lot of sectors these days are actually open 100% to foreign investors. We should start off with the consideration of capital outflow from China to the world. From the Chinese government side, there is this restrictive movement of outbound capital. As I mentioned earlier, every single investment must be submitted to the Chinese government for ODI approval. So that's on the capital control part. For regulatory, we have to see it from the onshore perspective. For example, the main risk would be the foreign ownership restriction imposed by the various jurisdictions. So in Indonesia, we used to have this negative investment list where a lot of sectors are actually closed or closed with condition to foreign investor. But as of 2021, there is a new positive investment list which allowed foreign investor to invest 100% or at least secure a majority control on their investment in Indonesia. Apart from that, I believe that Chinese company must also consider the IP protection and governance and compliance obligation. Because from my experience, we have seen a lot of Chinese companies not very familiar with the compliance obligation imposed in Indonesia. For example, in terms of the investment value, the minimum paid-up capital, and also the concept of two-tier board structure, which often cause a confusion for the foreign investor. For geopolitical risk itself, for China, it has always been to diversify their risks due to the China-US trade war. This is also to reinforce their China Plus One policy, and at the same time, is also to ensure that the competitiveness in their domestic market can be elevated. Chinese fintech players are basically building a global ecosystem on its own in ASEAN. So what we have seen, the stronger player in China such as WeChat, Alipay, Temu, Shein, the e-commerce players, they are basically replicating their entire business model in China and embed it within the ASEAN region. And along the way, how they actually strategize it is to work with local fintech players. It could be by way of partnership-led expansion or to a certain extent of acquiring the suitable targets. So, for example, in Indonesia, we have seen how the local e-commerce player, Tokopedia, has been acquired by TikTok, a Chinese-backed players. There are also certain fintech players where are majority controlled by the Chinese through acquisition. And one of the key challenges that they normally face are the regulatory restriction imposed by the local government. Of course, there are many ways that we can assist to structure or to navigate such regulatory requirement. Another point that I would like to highlight also is the fragmentation of AI governance currently happening within this region. As an emerging market, the adoption of AI is not as fast as we have seen in China itself. We have also seen such Chinese companies facing challenges in adopting and transferring the data in and outside of China. This is also due to the reason that in Indonesia, in certain sectors, there's also requirement to localize the data.